ago in Pacific Palisades. Hopefully that stops the fire in its tracks right there and protects that home.
Yeah, it's quickly moving up the hillside, and that's what it does. You know, in the cul-de-sac of this beautiful neighborhood down below, there is that fire engine that we saw. So there are now official boots on the ground. We saw at least 2 different aircraft up. We've seen a couple of water drops in a short amount of time, so let's hope that they keep those going. But on this flank of the hill, you can see those flames, you know, going closer to the homes there on the other side. So that was a beautiful, beautiful water drop. Yeah. The remnants of it. We'd love to see that white smoke. Let's keep that coming. The mandatory evacuation orders are in place. Let me just pull those up. We can't repeat all of that enough. So, mandatory evacuation order issued for Van Owen south of Burbank Boulevard and County Lane Road, east to East Valley Circle. That was the latest from LAFD, who is on it. And again, they are pulling some resources from the Palisades Fire to help fight this fire in the West Hills area burning toward Calabasas.
Adam, as we look at this picture and we're just looking at the winds, it seems like, at least from this particular picture in this particular neighborhood, the winds are blowing away from the homes.
Yeah, so, and you know, I'll say something, because I found the couple of homes on the map that they just did a water drop on. I mean, it's, you know, their yards are quite distinguishable from satellite view, right? So this is actually now, let's see. This is we talked about Hidden Hills and the fire kind of riding the western edge of Hidden Hills going southward. And now those flames are reaching the next neighborhood down to the south and kind of southwest of there. I'll tell you, I mean, the street that we saw that nice water drop on was right behind the homes on Colette Way. Colette Way. And so those are some homes that are out now on like the northern edge of the next neighborhood down. And if we can at some point get back to the 3D map from CAL FIRE, I can show it pretty nicely. They do have the CAL FIRE does now have the fire perimeter or footprint marked on their map right now. And so you'll see that as these flames are now pushing kind of along that western edge of Hidden Hills and West Hills down to the next neighborhood over, and next neighborhood down to the south. And so, sorry, Alex, your original question had escaped me.
My question was that Colette Way, we're all doing a lot of things at the same time. The winds seem to be moving away from that neighborhood. So instead of driving it right into
he's just keeping an eye, and he's talking to somebody in the chain of command to let him know what he's seeing, conditions and direction of spread and rate of spread.
All right, once again, if people are a little confused about where this is a housing development called Mountain View. It is in Calabasas. It is on the north side of the 101 way. The entrance to this neighborhood is off Moreau Road, which runs parallel with the 101.
Here comes it.
And firefighters, we just saw a water drop a second ago, and here comes hopefully another one. They are furiously trying to save this neighborhood. But again, this is that historical corridor where fires come racing through here and could go all the way to the Pacific Ocean.
Gil is up in Sky 5. Gil, can you give us a bird's eye view of what's going on here?
Yeah, those water dropping helicopters making quick work to turn around and get their water and come back and hit the flames here. The very tense situation here on Colette Way. The truck pulling into that driveway, as he said, backing in there and getting ready to protect those structures. We have the people on the tennis court here that are keeping an eye on the fire. It looks like that initial drop did a great job of suppressing some of that fire, but there's just even more to it. There's more fire coming. You can see that hot spot there, but another spot that has flared up here is right here, just southwest of Colette Way, in the grasses there, just beyond the community here. So that is a definite concern for the firefighters. You see the smoke pulling off away over the 101 freeway, and it's just unbelievable to see how quick this fire has spread. Let me come out to a wider shot and get that perspective for you. But all the way across, you're going to see the 101 freeway there, and then all the way out, heading out towards that Malibu area as well. So as I come back into this community, that's where the firefighters are really focusing their attention on these homes here to make sure that the fire does not get into any of those homes at this point. But still a lot of active flame and a lot of unburned grass and some brush in this area.
Yeah. Thank goodness there's air ops able to fly today.
Yeah, and Gil, Samantha Cortese was talking about the neighborhood just to the west of Canaan Road. So if you were to pan towards the left and go over that little knoll there's another neighborhood over there, there on the other side. And there's Les Virginis coming up there, and you can see that smoke continue and travel towards Canaan Road. And Sam, I'll let you handle this. Sam, why don't you talk to...
No, Kai, I appreciate that. They're updating the map as we speak. That little evacuation order for Oak Park, which was close to the Agora Hills City Parkland, it looks like they cleared that evacuation warning. They're making different boundaries. This could just be the map that hasn't updated yet, but if you take a look at the evacuation order now and how far it has extended down to the 101, we are hearing the evacuation warning has added, let's see, Ingomar Street and Satakoy Street south to Burbank and Valley Circle Boulevard east to Woodlake Street. Those are the specific streets that have added to the existing mandatory evacuation order, which is reflected on the map there.
Great, thank you for that, Sam. And here comes another drop. Gil, what's going on here?
All right, as we continue to monitor this fire, let's bring in Margaret Stewart, LA Fire Department. Margaret, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can.
What kind of update can you give us?
So we responded to this fire at about 2:30 this afternoon with our initial size up of 50 acres burning southerly direction. We have not only LAFD resources, we're in unified command with LA County and Ventura County Fire. We do not know the number of homes threatened at this time, but we have issued a mandatory evacuation. Our map is available at lfd.org/news. This is called the Kenneth Fire. But I can provide that verbally. So our mandatory is the northern border is Van Noen Street, south to Burbank Boulevard. On the west side is the County Lane Road, which is the LA City border, east to East Valley Circle Boulevard. And LA County is also issuing evacuation warnings in their land that is west and south in the Hidden Hills.
Can you do a quick verification and clarification, rather, on the name of the fire, Kenneth? We heard Kenneth, but we've also heard another word.
It initially came out as a Kenneth, but it's been updated to Kenneth IC.
Okay, great. Okay. Thank you.
So this fire is burning pretty much in a historical corridor where we've seen fires rip through here, jump the 101 freeway and go all the way to the Pacific Ocean. There's got to be a big concern with this thing actually linking up, with a Palisades fire.
Obviously, our efforts right now are to hit it from the air as fast as we can and stop the front, stop the progress. And we have 28 LAFD fire companies, and I don't know the number of LA County, of Ventura County also. So we are bringing everything we have to it.
So basically, we've seen these helicopters coming in here. Do you happen to know how many air resources you're going to be able to bring to this fire? I know last night for the Sunset Fire, it was just an immediate hit.
Right. Well, just LAFD, we have 4 helicopters flying. You can see them right now. And LA County also has helicopters. I just don't know how many they have there right now.
Okay. Well, from what we can see, you're doing a pretty good job of hitting this thing pretty hard, because that neighborhood, Mountain View, it looked like it was in big trouble, and you guys have done a good job of snuffing those flames out as it gets close to the back of that community, especially where that one particular tennis court is.
And any advice for residents?
Right now is follow our evacuation order, please. If you go to lafd.org/news and they click on Kenneth Fire, they can see a map an interactive map that describes not only the evacuation zone that I gave, but the warning area that is in yellow on the map. And we ask, don't stay, have your go bag, and exit.
Can you give that address again, please?
The website address?
Yes.
LAFD, so as in Los Angeles Fire Department, LAFD.org/news. And when you go to that site, you'll actually see 3 different pages, one for each fire we have. So scroll down to the Kenneth Fire.
All right, Margaret Stewart from LA Fire Department. We certainly appreciate the updated information. Again, mandatory evacuation orders for this brush fire in the West Hills are calling this the Kenneth Fire. The big concern here again is that immediate neighborhood where the smoke is blowing over, called Mountain View. Firefighters doing a good job of those water drops, very strategic. Done a great job there, keeping this fire from getting into this neighborhood, Mountain View, as well as possibly jumping the 101 freeway into the larger Calabasas area.
Yeah. And you know, we're still again monitoring some strong gusty winds in that area. Some of those winds gusting up to about 25, 30 miles per hour. And you could see that in some of the live shots that we've shown you in terms of the palm trees moving back and forth pretty rapidly. So again, still some bursts of Santa Anas going through there. We do have that red flag warning. It's in place until tomorrow, Friday evening at 6 o'clock, the high wind warning, which includes this particular area here near West Hills, is also in place until tomorrow morning at about 6 o'clock. And as we take a look a little bit earlier on the right-hand side of your screen, that's a little closer to Los Virgenes Road there in Malibu Canyon, where the smoke is definitely moving through there, and that smoke, Glenn and Lou, all the way to Canaan Road.
Kai, what about the Palisades Fire? What is the wind direction on that, at least, say, on the northern or western flank at this point?
It's going in a northwesterly direction as we look at that drop, that Foscheck drop. That was again a little bit earlier. That's called painting that stripe, and they did that really well with that fixed wing aircraft. But yeah, it's coming out of the northeasterly direction. It's moving sort of in a southeasterly direction. But the problem with the Palisades Fire, and we saw this happening with the Eaton Fire as well, is the fire made its way from a west from the east to the west. So it sort of traversed the mountain, if you will. If you were in Pasadena looking up at the San Gabriel Mountains, the fire, the Eaton Fire and the Eaton Canyon area is on the eastern side, and the fire just overnight and throughout the early morning hours traversed in a westerly direction, made its way into Altadena. And with the Palisades Fire, we saw the same thing happen. It came out of the Palisades area, it began to traverse towards Malibu, went into all those beach houses along PCH, burned them down completely all the way to Malibu proper, and continued to make its way, and to this moment it's doing so into Topanga Canyon, a lot of those areas up in the Santa Monica mountain range. So these winds are very erratic, and I continue to say this as well, they create their own weather as well. They create their own winds. So it's easy to say, hey, it's moving in this direction for now, but some of these areas, some of these pockets in these canyons and passes, well, the smoke and the fire gets down in there and it creates its own weather pattern. And here's a live look into that Topanga Canyon area. And we've been watching this near Topanga Canyon State Park. And unfortunately, this, of course, is an area that it's difficult for residents to do any brush clearing. You just can't do that. You live in these communities, and yes, you can create a clearance around your house in terms of 100 feet or 150 feet, but it's a natural land, and there's so much oak, there's a lot of eucalyptus, there's many trees out there that once they heat up, they sometimes explode, especially those eucalyptus. There's a lot of oils inside of a lot of these trees, and of course at the surface the trees are bone dry. But
that's when you see a lot of the black smoke.
That's why we're seeing the black smoke. That's why we're seeing that. We're seeing a lot of those oils that are burning. And it is just magnificent to live in communities like this, but it's very dangerous, and we're seeing the results of that this afternoon.
And I feel like the resources are spread so thin, because I feel like the Topanga Canyon fire had started to break out and they were able to start focusing on that, and now this West Hills Kenneth fire is breaking out. It's like cat and mouse. They're like chasing fires constantly.
Well, earlier in the show, we heard someone refer to it, and I love this description as whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're trying to hit that one, and then another one pops up. You're trying to hit that, another trying to hit that, and it's just awful. And firefighters, they're so stretched. They're stretched thin. And President Biden talked about providing more federal help, more assets, more fixed-wing aircraft, more helicopters. And we're seeing strike teams from Arizona. We saw a strike team in the Altadena area yesterday from Kern County. They came down. We're seeing folks from San Diego County coming up to help, San Francisco. So all the assets are trying to get into Southern California, but the fires are happening so quickly, so rapidly, that it's hard to catch up.
All right, let's get back up to Gil Lavis and Sky 5. Gil, what do you have for us here?
Well, Glenn and Lou and Kai, we're between the two fires right now, just south of the one way.
All right, we've lost our signal there with Gil. We will try to reestablish that.
Here he is.
Gil, you there?
A bit of a turn here, but yeah, the fire has definitely raced toward and in the chopper here in the this is the Mountain View community that you were mentioning here. They continue to hit those flame lengths here. You see another fire helicopter here that looks like an LA City Fire going to make a drop on one of the lines of fire here. But we've seen LA City Fire helicopters, we've seen LA County Fire helicopters, Ventura County Fire helicopters, and a Colson helicopter that was dropping water right behind that the home on Colette Way that we were looking at with the tennis courts. But it looks like at this point, no structures are burning. That's good news. They're really hitting it hard. They're quick.
Yeah.
We are having a lot of technical issues with the helicopter right now. Let's check back in with Samantha Cortese. Hi, Samantha.
Hi, all three of you and Gil above, looking at what I have on a map here from CAL FIRE. This includes that evacuation warning for Oak Park, as well as the evacuation orders now that extend down to the 101, and the evacuation order
for the neighborhood that was immediately under fire that we saw next to the tennis court there. And how incredible to watch those water drops. And I mean, I've been talking with my family and friends today. If only we had had that help a couple nights ago, right? And we just saw how quickly that put out the flames. This is the evacuation order and warning map for the new Kenneth Fire, which is 50 acres at last check. We imagine it has grown since then, mostly in the Mountain Gate community. This initially said potential for 1,000 acres, so I know that LA Sheriff's Department has now issued those mandatory evacuation orders. LA Fire Department, CAL FIRE, all working together, as we heard Margaret mention. This is unified to fight the Kenneth Fire. And if I just go back to my emails here, this fire is moving quickly, and the evacuation orders include Van Owen south to Burbank, County Lane Road east to Valley Circle, and the warnings are Canaan and Agora, east of Canaan to Deer Hill. And that's the yellow area you're looking at on the left side of your screen. And one thing that Mark, head of our digital here, is mentioning is we're now seeing this merge with the outage or the evacuation orders and warnings from the Palisades Fire. And that's concerning. It's concerning for a lot of people. The warnings are butting up against the orders. And basically, as we've heard from Bob, if you see smoke over the house, it's time to get ready to go.
Yeah. And Sam, you're right. It would have been nice to have some water drops over the last few days, but unfortunately, the winds have been so strong.
Brutal, yeah.
Yeah, it was so dangerous.
Oh, you can hear it going off in our newsroom now.
Yeah,
oh,
there it is.
Whoa,
there
I
it is.
just got it too.
So these are the warnings that we need to adhere to. We need to respect these warnings because, yes, these are very important, and folks all over this area here in the West Hills community are getting the exact warnings that we're getting here on our phones in the studio, so that's what you're hearing at home. But again, back to the fact that it's a lot safer now for pilots to be able to fly in these areas because the winds in the atmosphere, in the mid-levels of the atmosphere where the fixed wing and the helicopters do fly, it's not as dangerous. The wind's a lot stronger down on the surface. But nonetheless, Sam, as you show everybody at home, this area in the West Hills community, evacuation warnings. And as the good Captain Bob told us earlier, Glenn and Lou, if you see that smoke coming up over your neighborhood, that means you must get out. You have to leave.
And I'm trying to upload the map. You kind of saw it there for a moment. It's okay, we don't have to go back to it. But they're starting to upload the area where the fire is actively burning, and that is up in the hills there. And Kai, I'm just so worried because you keep saying these winds might pick up, but you're looking on the left-hand side of your screen at the 101 at Las Virgenes and Calabasas.
Already impacted by traffic because if you were trying to go to the west side, hopefully nobody's been trying to do that in the last couple days, but this is the thoroughfare to get over to Malibu or to travel through the hills. And now that's all on the 101. We've seen traffic impacted on the 101 and the 405, even the 10 over in Santa Monica for the last few days because of these fires. And now the worry is just growing.
Yeah, and it is typical for that area once you're coming out of Malibu, the Los Virgenes Canyon and Canaan areas to come towards the Woodland Hills area. It's typical sort of bottleneck in there as you're going up the hill towards Calabasas, but I'm certain it's going to be more difficult for commuters in that area because they too see the smoke, and you're going to, of course, raise that red flag in everyone's minds going, oh no, what's going on? So you tend